Hello, my friends. I thought I would just do a chat with you kind of video where I'm not opening up anything, I'm not distracting you, distracting you with coffee making or anything like that. I thought I would just sit down and have a conversation with you. Mainly because there was one comment that came in that really was very thought-provoking, and I really wanted to share with you the question and the comment and also what I've been thinking. I don't really know, I'm kind of speaking off the cuff here. This is a bit of stream of consciousness, so I don't know where this particular rambles is going to lead us, but I took a screenshot of this comment and I wanted to read it to you, and I'll put it up here for you guys. It's from Laura Hiller 6117. Hello, Laura. She wrote, "So proud of you on your journey. Thank you so much. Do you think you were able to make lasting changes because you work for yourself? What was the I think she meant to write difference instead of different, but what was the difference this time?" So she was commenting on a video where I was talking about this journey that I've been on in terms of kind of transforming myself, my relationship with food, working out, and in turn kind of transforming my body. But really it's much more mental. The transformation is definitely much more mental than it is physical. But the part of her comment that really kind of stuck with me was, what was different this time? Or what was the difference this time? And I thought, what was the difference this time? Like what, because you can kind of keep backing into that question. And, because when I first read it, I thought, oh, well, I decided to like lift weights or whatever. But it's like, well, what got me to make that change? And then, I could keep backing up, and it was like, well, I started meditating, and, meditation, I've mentioned on this channel before, was like a huge catalyst for a lot of things. And I've learned a lot about myself through meditation. I've learned a lot about my psychology. I don't want to say psychology in general, but my psychology. It's just really taught me a lot about myself. So I thought maybe that would be a good place to kind of start and answer Laura's question, because really what is the difference that induces us to make that lasting change? Because I'm sure we've all been through it. It doesn't have to be with, diet and exercise or whatever. It could be with any change. Some stick and some don't stick. And I'm gonna, obviously I'm gonna share what I did and why I think it stuck this time. And I'm not even gonna go so far as to say that this is the approach I would take for every single thing that I wanna do in my life. This is just something that really, I just think at this particular time, the things that I did really, really helped what I was trying to go through. And there is this concept that I learned through meditation. And it's the idea of surrendering. Maybe it could be termed as like accepting of something. And for me, it was this sort of surrender of control over this problem that I had, which is my relationship with food. My relationship with food really is, I don't know if it'll ever be completely healed, but it is very, very damaged. And I think all my life, I've just been kind of like white knuckling it, kind of like just white knuckling, like dieting through everything. Like, I'm just gonna eat less. That's gonna be the answer. And without actually like backing into my relationship with food and like why I have such a damaged relationship with food and whatever. And the meditation really helped me with that. And I think without the idea of kind of giving my power over to this, not just addiction to food that I had, but the poor behaviors that I had developed around it, and also just food in general having a power over me. I think if I never addressed it, if I never really sat down and gave it that power, surrendered it over to the food, I would still be fighting it in a way. And I think that was really it was like, I really hate the term aha moment, because sometimes things come to you like a light bulb, right? But most things come to you very, very slowly, almost like a fog, like an ether. Just sort of, it just kind of comes over you very, very slowly, faintly. It whispers in your ear. And that to me was sort of this realization about food and the power that it had over me and the addiction that I had to eating, the addiction that I had to food, because I actually separate those two things out. There is, I think, when you eat, there is like the dopamine hit and whatever, and there's certain foods that you start to crave or whatever. But there is also the actual act of eating, which I was also very, very addicted to. And it was like I had to separate those things out. And the eating to me, to put it in really simple terms, was like the habits that I had created around this addiction to food. And so I came to all of these realizations through meditating and through kind of like just surrendering and just saying to myself, like, okay, you've got me. You've got me. I'm a sucker for you. I'll do anything for some fast food. I'll do anything for good, like binge junk food, night in front of the TV. And so I just wanted to express that sort of acceptance that it has a power over me. And I do think that that's, and please correct me if I'm wrong, and any comments that you have, let's make this an open discussion, because I think most of us suffer from addictions and poor relationships to things, not just people, but to things. So anyway, yeah, please comment down below. But I do think the idea of accepting your powerlessness in a situation is part of like recovery, is part of understanding that you're flawed and that you're human, and that sure, I could sit here and like I keep saying, I could sit here and like just white knuckle it, but that's what never lasts a long time. That's not the lasting change that I was looking for. So I think that is a very large component as to why this time the changes that I've made have really, really stuck, because I have learned to address the problem kind of head on instead of kind of picking off symptoms. And I think the meditation really, really helped. And people have asked about, the meditation. It's such a difficult thing to talk about because it is so abstract, and it is also so different for everyone. And I think, people meditate for different reasons or whatever. I've talked about that. But I think meditation for me, just not only do you get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because it's very uncomfortable to sit there and really reel your thoughts in and focus them. It's very difficult. It takes a lot of practice, and you don't get it every single time, even after years of practicing. Some days are just better than others, like everything else. But to be able to kind of sit there and feel uncomfortable is such an important tool to hone. It's such an important thing in terms of like addressing any kind of addiction or any kind of habit that you're trying to break, because not doing the thing is so uncomfortable. And that's what, keeps us going, right? That's what keeps us going back to whatever it is that makes us feel better, keeps us going back to the familiar, keeps us going back to whatever habit it is. So, there's that very kind of direct link of meditation to like making change, is like you just sit there and practice being really, really uncomfortable with yourself, and you learn that it passes, that any sort of uncomfortable feeling, any sort of obsessive thought that you're having, it passes. Whether it passes with you actively wanting it to pass, or you just sitting with your thoughts and eventually it just, like a fog, it just sort of dissipates. So, meditation has helped me in that way, but it also helps because it slows things down. And what I mean by that is, a lot of times, I bet, let's say if you have a similar issue to me when it comes to food and overeating and binge eating and all of that, you probably could sit there and kind of rattle off maybe 5 situations where it happens. You go out to eat with friends, you had a stressful day at work, you're eating TV and it's mindless. You could probably rattle off those situations. But when you meditate, you really slow everything down, and that is what helps, or has helped me, not only identify all of those situations, all of those different situations, but it also allows me to not do anything automatically. You're slowing it down, and when you're meditating, I can visualize me not getting out of the situation, but changing the thinking in that moment. Basically, kind of like reprogramming your mind and reprogramming it subconsciously. And so that when you're in the situation, you kind of snap out of it and you can say, oh, this is what I'm trying to change. And you don't let all the little voices and all the urges kind of take over. You stop. It's not easy. It's very, very hard, but without sort of it's like mental practice, like athletes who mentally go through an entire game or race or match or something, and they have to sit there and mentally like picture themselves winning or whatever. That is a form of meditation, and it's what I like to do, like win the game in terms of like this food or the food situation that I'm in. And it's like when I'm going out and I eat and it's, I ordered the chicken breast with the salad instead of what I really want, the cheeseburger and the fries. But you can, obviously the situation will depend on, what your issue is or whatever. But I think meditating, and having been meditating for a while, was really one of the major players in why, I've been able to like not only implement change, but, I've been able to kind of stick with it. So that's definitely something. The other thing that I think, was a contributing factor to me, just it working this time, was really kind of just timing. It's the fact that, I turned 50 last year, and that I was frustrated with all the other attempts that I had made. And I think not only because of my age, but because of how many times I had tried to do it, make the change, try this diet, try this workout routine, whatever it was. I think not only was it because I turned 50, but because my motivation or my goal for it completely changed. In the past, it was always about vanity, which in turn is, in a way, self-loathing. And it's such a negative thing. Oh, I can't eat that. I'm too fat. That's gonna make me fat. Oh, I'm so ugly, I can't eat that. So this time around, and not even really thinking about that, but this time around, I think, well, I'm 50, so I don't sit around calling myself fat anymore, thank God. I think that just kind of comes with age. But I really wanted to focus on health and mobility. And so I think with that in mind, the timing of all of this was really important. Because when you think about mobility and you think about health, there's no finish line. This is just something that you need to do consistently. It's not like, oh, I just need to lose 30 pounds, or oh, I just need to finish that size 4 or 2, whatever it is. And then once you do, what happens? Do you stop? I know I'd have in the past if I actually reached whatever stupid goal I set for myself, which didn't happen often, but every once in a while I would lose the 20 pounds or whatever. And then what? I went back to eating the way I did. So I think setting a different goal, having a different motivation behind all of this, created this idea that there's no finish line. You're doing this. You're doing this to stay mobile. And if I improve my strength, if I improve my mobility all at the same time, if I improve my VO2 max, whatever it is, great. But all I'm trying to do is just stay healthy. And I think, is it because I just turned 50? I have a little bit more life clarity, a little bit more wisdom, maybe. But I think also it's because I had tried so many other attempts. I had, done things for all the wrong reasons, and it's exhausting. It's really exhausting to do something because you don't like yourself, or to do something with this sort of negative motivation. It's exhausting. It's really tiresome, and it's not healthy. Definitely not healthy, mentally or physically. And so I think not only did I change my motivation where I wanted to stay healthy, where I wanted to, get healthier, where I wanted to stay mobile, all those things, I really leaned into like appreciating what my body can do versus what it can't do and what I'm trying to force it to do. Really just trying to enhance what I have. And I think that was, for me, like a real sort of game changer in terms of the way I thought about it. My mental state surrounding this whole thing was just much, much more positive. And I think that coupled with, the idea of surrendering and accepting my weaknesses and my flaws and meditating on all those things and, really just coming from a much more positive place, I think that was the absolute, hands down, game changer regarding this go round versus all the other times I attempted this. So, I hope that helps, some of you out there that really don't hate on yourself. It's just not helpful. It's not helpful. I was listening to a podcast. I listen to a lot of these fitness podcasts now on YouTube. I watch a lot of these podcasts on YouTube. So what I've been hearing more and more on these fitness podcasts when I'm watching them on YouTube is the idea that therapy is actually much more effective and much more helpful than a diet plan for someone who is, obese, morbidly obese, overweight, whatever it is. That therapy is more effective than a diet plan and a training plan. That you have to get yourself right, that you have to get into a positive mindset, that you have to stop punishing yourself. The idea like, oh my God, I cheated last night, so now I have to run 5 miles. That sort of association is so negative, it's so punishing, it's so bad, it's so ineffective, and it's just not, it will break you down mentally, which will break you down physically in the long run. It was really eye-opening to think like therapy is more effective than an actual diet or training plan, even one that is actually being followed. That if the person works out their issues with themselves, their self-esteem issues or their issues with food, that is actually more effective than anything else. I just thought that idea was really, really powerful. So anyway, I think that's why this go around has been very, very different for me, why it's been successful. I've been doing this now for over a year. I feel great. I feel so much better. I feel so much more relaxed about it all. And I know I keep saying white knuckling. It's like I'm letting go, and I'm in such a better place. So I hope this conversation will help you get there if you're not there. If you're white knuckling through this, I hope that this helps. And please, please, please sound off down below in the comment section. I would love to hear from you. I really like talking about this because it has had such a profound effect on my life, making these changes on my life in so many ways. And so every time I do talk about it, I get so many comments and questions from you guys. So thank you for encouraging me to keep talking about it. And I just, I really hope that it's helpful. I really do. I love, talking about this. So if you want me to continue talking about this, by all means, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. And I'll be back with some more regular videos this weekend. All right, I'll see you guys soon. Bye.